Hello guys, today we're going to go over 3.1, pretty much annual interest rate and compound interest rate. Note that this formula is the exact same as this formula. The only difference is that our N is 1 because it's compounded annually, once per year. R divided by 1 would be R, and T times 1 would be T. So they're the exact same formula. The only difference is that the bottom one is the one we use when the interest rate is applied annually, so once per year. The other one is when it's applied multiple times per year. I'm going to go over each one. Now, in both, the letters represent the exact same variables. A is the amount that's left after the interest rate is applied. Note that it could be a positive interest rate, meaning you gain or you make more, or it could be negative, like a payment that you have to do, in which case you would end up with less. Now, let's go over each variable. Again, A would be amount, P would be principal, the original amount you begin with. So let's say, for example, you deposit $500 in a bank account. How much would I end up after 5 years? P is 500, the amount you began with. In other exercises that pop up in the SATs a lot is like, you have a population of, 1,000 rabbits in a park. P would be the 1,000 rabbits, the original population, the original amount that is before the interest is applied. This number will always be 1. And you will always add the rate. Note that the rate could be positive or negative. So if you add a negative rate, it would be like subtracting, because positive times negative is negative. Let's say, for example, you have 500 bunny rabbits, and due to a famine, there's no food for them, 3% die every year. Well, you would have 500 rabbits times 1 plus negative 0.03. Because one thing to keep in mind, the R is the rate expressed in decimal form. So if I have 3%, you run the decimal twice and it would be 0.03. Since the 0.03. Since the rabbits are dying, that means I'm losing. So it would be minus this and then times however many years I have. So in the end, you would end up with 500. When I combine these two, I would end up with 0.99 or 0.97. I'm the math teacher. 0.97. And then by however many years that this happens, you're going to end up with a specific population. Note, when you're calculating interest rates, you have to follow PEMDAS. This gets exponentiated before this result is multiplied by 500. If you multiply 500 times this and then raise that to the x power, you're going to end up with a crazy amount. Never do that. You exponentiate whatever inside the parentheses first, and then that answer gets multiplied by the principal. Now, instead of losing rabbits, let's say we have the opposite. Let's just say, we're working with a bank account now, or the population of rabbits could grow. I have $1,000, and I want to know how much I'm going to end up with if I have a 5% annual interest rate applied every year after 5 years. So I would put 1 plus 0.05, because I'm growing at 5% every year over 5 years. I add this becomes 1.05. I exponentiate this to the 5th power, and then that answer gets multiplied by the principal. After you multiply these, that's gonna give you the amount you're left with after 5 years, applying a 5% interest rate every year. So that's pretty much what happens when it's an annual interest rate. Pretty straightforward. Now, we're gonna do the exact same process, only instead of applied annually, it can be applied multiple times per year. And this is where N comes in. N is how many times the rate is applied every year. So if I give you a specific number, like if the interest rate happens every 3 months, this number will not be 3. This number would be 4, because I can apply this rate 4 times every year, because it happens every 3 months. So let's say, for example, you have $100, and I'm gonna apply a 3% growth every 3 months for 2 years. I would have $100 plus the rate expressed in decimals, 0.03, divided by n, which is the number of times the rate is applied every year. In this case, the rate will be applied 4 times per year, because it happens every 3 months. And now I multiply however many times this is applied, however many times the rate is applied per year, which is 4 times the number of years. And I said for 2 years. So 4 times 2 would be 8. And then we follow the exact same PEMDAS process. We divide here, we add, we exponentiate, we multiply, and that's the amount you're gonna end up with if you deposit $100 and you have a 3% interest rate applied every 3 months for 2 years. So it's pretty straightforward. Now you have to keep in mind how you might be given this word problem. They can tell you how many times it's applied per year. They can tell you it's applied 6 times per year. Yeah, markers are always working. It's applied 6 times per year. You know your n will be 6. That's the easiest way these problems will present themselves. Another way is that they give you a specific word. Monthly, well, you know it's 12. Quarterly, you know it's 4. Daily, 365. Weekly, 48 weeks in a year, 48 times. So given the word, you should know what to plug into your n if they don't give you the exact number of times. Note, the only confusion should ever arise is when you look at the word, for example, bi-weekly. My markers are acting up. Give me 1 second. Hopefully this one will work. Let's say, for example, one of these should work. Okay, let's say, for example, bi-monthly. What does bi-monthly mean? Again, we went over this in 10th grade, but I'm going to repeat what bi-monthly means. I always do a survey. What does bi-monthly mean? Does it mean twice a month or 2 times a month? And normally when people don't know this, half the class says one thing, half the class says it's the other thing. When you look at the dictionary, everyone's dumbfounded because it actually means both things. Bi-monthly could mean twice per month, and it could also mean every 2 months. So whenever someone uses this word, you have to, if they aren't more specific, you have to be very specific and ask them, what are you meaning by bi-monthly? Is it twice per month or every 2 months? Let's say, for example, I always say this joke, I'm going to give you guys vacations in a bi-monthly manner. And you think, oh my God, awesome, 2 vacations a month. And then, reality sets in and it's once every 2 months. So whenever you see bi-weekly, bi-monthly, bi-yearly, bi-quarterly, is it twice per quarter or every 2 quarters? Because the end result might be very different. And that's pretty much it for today's class. Have a great day.